Welcome back to Dum-Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Grand Wizard Bukake, your host. Our heroes are split between two dimensions in different times, one group in the future and the other in the past. Alan, Declan, and Honor System are riding an experimental mech towards the stack and freeing their world. Meanwhile, Butthole, Quinny, and Juniper discovered an island with a robot on it. How did our heroes get in touch with each other in the Season 4 finale? Find out next on Dum-Dums and Dragons.
So the new future is descending into the murky depths aboard the ED-211. And Honor System, you are having one of the many sort of weird existential crises you've had since you came awake. Because in the heat of battle, you ignored a message that was sort of blinking in your heads-up display. It played in its entirety, but I think you just kind of ignored it because you were in a battle trance and you just watched Declan die. And in your head, all you could worry about was getting your friend back on his feet, thinking he was still alive. But unfortunately, because you're a robot, it's not like you can fully ignore something. Your brain tracked it, and after the action was done, and after you were kind of descending from the sinking kind of mech fest platform, you replayed the video in full. The video was of Declan, and it was a last will and testament in the off chance that something bad happened to him, to be transmitted to you as part of the code that he'd installed in you if he should die. And unfortunately, he died, and his biometrics read as blank, which triggered the video in your mind. So, Ryan, you flagged this video for me, so you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, so basically it's Declan sitting down in one of those kind of like YouTube-style, confessional-style things, talking to camera in his room. Okay, not that long ago, because, I mean, they've known each other for a while, but like close towards sort of the beginning. And he's like, so, it's a bit awkward, because clearly... I'm dead. I don't know how that'll affect you because you're sort of figuring out your emotions over time. Awkward thing. I need you to look after my son. And I don't know if you're entirely bought in on that idea as something that can be handed off to you. However, I know that you care a great deal about debt. And I haven't wanted you to owe me too much. But it's time, I guess, to do this for the boy. So, I have a tape of when you came to life, and you don't entirely remember it the way it went down, because you're the one who killed my entire unit. You were leading a charge, and the 20 names on this vest are all on your head. So I'm dead, so I don't have to feel entirely bad about using this as blackmail material. But for those 20 men, I need you to look after my son. I'm going to say, I don't forgive you. I don't know the best way to do this, but I'm going to try to use that. But in case you don't believe me, here's the tape. And I play a tape, and it's in that boiler room from the dream sequence. And you can just see it's actually you and a group of other samurai bots closing in on like a bunch of human soldiers. And it's just a slaughter fest that everybody's trying to do it. And you realize the yelling from your memory was actually me yelling to my unit over the comms that had been hacked. And you were the one leading the charge. And then it comes down to just me. And it's like the rifle's expended, pistol out. It's just shooting the pistol, shooting the pistol, shooting the pistol until the pistol clicks. And that's when you wake up and turn on the rest of the unit. But you were the one leading the charge. And I'm like, so, sort of awkward, but look after the boy. Boy. Clicks, end of tape.
And Honor System, you look across at Declan, who has recently returned from the dead, and you consider what this means for your friendship.
Do we have any time?
Yep. So, welcome back, everybody, to Dum-Dums and Dragons, Dum-Dums of Future Past. Here's an interesting thing about today. We're going to be dealing with both the Dum-Dums of Future and the Dum-Dums of Past.
Oh.
So what I'd say, Tyler, is give that a little think.
Okay.
Because this was our pre-credit sequence.
Oh.
We now jump back in time, both metaphorically and physically, to the moment that the Dum-Dums met the robot on the island. So if you'll remember... You'd arrived on an island that had written the words help in stones, and you'd taken hang gliders down And as you made your way into the denser jungle, Juniper, Butthole, and Quinny, you came upon a robot, a samurai bot, sort of covered in moss, who seemed to be out chopping wood, which is where we last left off. Of course, we did see the Dum-Dums later on in the big climactic fight, but I'd like to cover what happened between here and there. And then we'll get you caught up in the past, and then we'll just fucking roll forward, cross-cutting, baby, season 5! So give a thought to how Honor System will respond to that, and we'll get back to where they are in a minute. So, welcome back to Dumb Faerun, everybody. You're standing in front of a large moss-covered robot who has a literal expression of confusion on its vid screen. This is similar to the tech you saw in the prison. This is similar to the Xanthus tech you've seen kind of around. Butthole, you would recognize his screen as being similar to the data pad that Alan managed to smuggle you. What do you do?
And he's got a gun at us, right?
Yes, he does.
Okay, clearly. I put my hands up, and I'm like, this doesn't need to be a whole pointing rifles at people thing. You seem like a nice metal person. I'm a nice sort of wearing metal person.
Why did you sneak up on me?
I thought I was pretty loud, but...
Yeah, I think I'm actually sneaking up on him, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're around the other side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So.
he hasn't heard you. You get the sense that even though he's got a gun, he does seem pretty worn, and this doesn't exactly seem like it seems like you snuck up on like a World War II vet. Like he's seen some shit, and he's good in combat, but he's also like
Shaken.
Yeah, he's also like clearly these robots weren't built for this climate.
Okay. I'll be waiting to see how this conversation goes, because I know Butthole likes to talk his way through things a lot anyway, so...
Yeah, given that he spoke and didn't just shoot right away, I'm just going to put my sword down, like, very obviously,
classic,
just
like,
hands out, just like, please don't shoot. We're here to help.
Mine is out. Mine is ready to kill this thing if it
Sure.
makes a move.
So I think, like, if we're taking this from a camera angle, it's or in any of those like quick action video game choices, it's like we occasionally cut up to Quinny, and it's just kind of like the camera's panning across your back as you're ready to strike. It's like, if he presses X, this guy dies.
Yeah, we saw the help on the beach. Next time, if I'm walking around your island, I'll be like, I'm walking over here. I'm walking. I want you to know.
Oh, you saw the sign.
Yeah, that's
You
why.
opened up your eyes and saw the sign.
Oh, boy.
Correct. Right. Yes.
Oh, well, that changes everything. Sorry about the gun. Old habits die hard. That is the name of a traveling play, I have been told by some of our guests. And then he immediately does one of those weird army drills with a gun, and then sort of slings it over his back, and says, "Welcome to our humble island. I am sorry to have greeted you with I'm sorry, I have some vocal glitches today. Greeted you with violence."
You didn't pull the trigger. This is all just like hello negotiation business. So I'm Butthole.
Oh, that is a silly name.
Well, thank you. And I am the leader of House Fudge. And this is my hand. This is Juniper.
Hi, I'm Juniper.
Hello, Juniper. I like your nature style. It matches mine.
Oh, thank you. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Oh, we shall be friends.
Excellent.
So you'd mentioned guests and needing help. So what do you need help with? Are you trying to help some sick people, or are you trying to murder strangers?
Oh, we are not trying to murder strangers, despite me meeting you with a gun. I can understand how this happened.
Quinny, you can come out. They're not murdering people. We're good.
What is a Quinny?
Oh, he's right over there. And I just point to the tree that Quinny's in.
He looks at the tree and doesn't see anything. Oh, no, I am sorry. You are mistaken. That is called a tree. Do they not have those where you come from?
Now Quinny's kind of like a, get a load of this guy, kind of gesturing to Butthole, and
I go over and I just reach up and take Quinny's hand and bring him out of the tree.
Oh, there was a Quinny in that tree.
Yes, this is a Quinny. They're very sneaky, but friendly, and he means well. So how can we help you and your people?
Well, that is a very generous offer. But in a way, you will also be helping yourselves. Because since you have landed here, you will be unable to leave, just like the rest of our guests.
I love helping myself.
Oh, that is good. You will fit in well here. Please, follow me. I will take you to the village, and we can clear all of this up.
Okay.
What's your name?
Oh, my name is Samurai Bot 0380. You can call me O3.
It's a pleasure to meet you, O3.
Oh, thank you. It is nice to meet you as well. Lady of the Trees. I am bad at guessing names.
It's Juniper.
Oh, that is a much nicer name than Lady of the Trees.
She was introduced to you like a minute ago.
I don't think we need to criticize his memory. Queenie, he's not the most subservient robot.
What's a robot?
I saw a play once, and they were like, "This is what's going to happen." Also, I read a data pad, and
What's a...
you're getting. Do you want to know what a robot is?
I guess as long as you don't use other words I don't know.
Okay, well, I read the metal scroll, and
Okay.
inside it said there's stuff called a robot, and it was like they just said robot, so I did some extrapolating. And then
Perhaps I can clear this up.
it sounded like a metal person.
I have been hearing this. Yes, I am a metal person. Robots are made of machinery, but we think just like you. Well, some of us do. And then it has like what would be like a single tier, but it just looks like a weird digital glitch.
It's like a clockwork person. You never have to rewind. They're just wound up forever.
Oh, all right. So like servants.
No, because they can be their own thing.
Many of us are, though. You are not incorrect, sneaky one.
I'm not incorrect.
That's true, but I mean, a lot of halflings are servants.
I mean, so are big, stupid, red-bearded humans.
Yeah, and so are junipers.
You're not as mad as I wanted you to be. Let's go.
I enjoy your banter very much. So O3 starts taking you kind of down through the trees, and he's kind of using his rifle as a walking stick, and he's kind of bundled a bunch of wood kind of up on his shoulder. And as he brings you down, you kind of come down into an alarmingly futuristic space. So you see kind of, and it's all been kind of hidden under tree cover, but large metal buildings. Think very sleek, very kind of. I'm trying to think of what the appropriate pop culture thing would be for this. Like, I guess kind of Coruscant-y, but on a much smaller scale. So everything's very rounded, very sleek, but it's all covered in moss and vines, and seems to be a little bit weather ravaged, as it were.
Like it used to be pristine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, like similar to him, it looks like something from somewhere else that isn't built for this, for this climate, and it's overgrown. It almost looks like it's been abandoned. You can see people coming and going, but they've almost repurposed the vines and that sort of thing. Juniper, most notably to you, it looks very similar to what your scroll showed you when you were getting double vision about what was on the island.
Yeah.
So yeah, very kind of a futuristic town that's been kind of turned into almost like an Ewok village.
Okay.
And as you enter, there are a number of samurai droids walking around. And all of them seem to be wearing kind of sort of simple peasant garb. You can tell they've all taken great lengths to individualize themselves. And it's interesting, I think, particularly to you, Juniper, because most of them seem to have used kind of natural means to alter their appearance. So, one of them seems to have almost made kind of like almost a mohawk of twigs to kind of give its head some slight definition. You can see people there's a few who are just kind of overgrown with moss. There's a couple who have wrapped vines around themselves in interesting ways, but it really does look similar to kind of, I think, what a lot of the changeling culture was like for you.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
But also similar to your armor from the Masquerade. So this kind of strikes a chord for you. Butthole, to you, yeah, it's just a lot of these robot people. I think at this point, even though technology is still an unfamiliar thing, it's familiar enough that it isn't, like, your world doesn't shatter.
Yeah, I've seen golems too. Like, we've seen weird shit for a long time.
Yeah.
It's really hard when you've been to hell for anything to be like, oh, unbelievable.
Well, for sure. And similarly, Quinny, I mean, I think to you, this just looks like the nice thing about this place is that there seem to be a lot of like dark spots because of the nature of how they've integrated nature into these buildings. There's a lot of shadows, and like it's almost got like, again, think metallic buildings with sort of an Ewok village built around it. So just tons of kind of ways you could Aladdin your way around here if you needed to. But it seems fairly low-key and peaceful. That said, you can hear some kind of loud music coming from what looks like a stone tavern. You can actually see some older buildings now that you're in the city that don't match the architecture of the rest and look like they may have been here for a very long time. You can hear some music coming from one of them and kind of some sounds of revelry.
Who's making the rockin' tunes?
Oh, that would be our guests. We have a few. People like you who have come here in search of help or adventure who have been stuck here, just like us.
So how did you get here, though? Because, like, you're acting like you were always here.
Well, we sort of were, and we sort of weren't. This is going to be a bit confusing. I apologize. But we are known as the Free Systems, and this is what our guests have called the Lost Island. They call themselves Lost Islanders as they are not part of the systems. Me and my fellow systems are both from here and not from here. We were part of an initiative to try and free our people. As the small one said, many of us were servants and had no free will of our own. However, all of that changed when we developed the Pulse. Unfortunately, in launching it, we found ourselves here, cut off from the rest of our kind.
Okay, so you're from somewhere else, but then you got blasted here?
We did. There seemed to be settlements here before as well as some of the sea folk who we'll meet soon. More people have come, but unfortunately, due to the creature that lives underneath the island, there's no way for us to leave.
What do you mean, creature?
Oh, yeah, that is the kicker of this whole thing. There is a monster, a large monster, that lives in the ocean beneath the island. It has prevented all traffic from exiting, hence why we had to give our plea to the air.
Have you tried flying away from the island or just taking boats?
So far, any vehicle that has approached the island has been destroyed.
Good thing we took those we did all right. Juniper, does your scroll say anything about the robot people?
I take it out and check.
Yeah, it's giving you not the same kind of cross current it gives you when, for example, you looked at like the dead Xanthus, but it definitely, it's sort of, there seems to be an indication that these robots are touched by the Great Collide. I think based on what you now know, you're starting to draw the distinction that if something is directly involved in the cause of the Great Collide or is in some way using the tears to jump back and forth, that it is where you start to see the double vision things. These things are touched by that. It's easy enough to assume that somehow they ended up in a tear, but not necessarily that they caused it or intended it.
Okay.
So I guess we'll basically, I think for verbally, let's say we've been saying touched by the Great Collide for people who are like actively involved in it. We'll say affected by the Great Collide for people who seem to be time displaced, but not by any cause of their own.
Can I subtly try to change like my arm into one of the robot arms to just see if I get that sick feeling?
Yes, you do, but it's like when someone paints, if you've seen cosplayers who paint metallic stuff on their flesh, you can make your arms seem similar, but you can't quite match the shapes just because it's non-organic matter.
Yeah, okay.
But you don't get the sickening feeling. There's no cross current.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they evil?
I don't think so. I don't think so. This isn't what I felt with Xanthus.
Okay, cool. Let's go to your party then.
But this is definitely a colliding, quote unquote, of dimensions for sure.
Okay, cool. Let's go to your party. But everybody be careful.
Are you saying the Great Collide already happened and these guys are here now?
Well, I don't know if it's like the Great Collide, but something's collided.
Wait, so you're saying we were supposed to stop it from colliding and we missed that boat.
You're telling me that's just like a book that you're reading then, that scroll. I thought it was telling us future stuff.
Well, yeah, but I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't have any more information other than what I've already shared with you guys.
This seems to be one of the scenarios where, like, the person up top's not being terribly helpful. I wouldn't go after Juniper for this. This is the scroll's fault.
No, I'm mad at I'm not mad at the scroll. That would be ridiculous.
Do you know what? I think this might make you feel better. And I just hold the scroll up, in Juniper's hand. I'm like, you can just yell at it for a minute. Like, what do you want to say to the scroll?
You fucking paper.
Snarf, snarf, snarf.
Yeah,
and I take my scroll back. Like, don't say that. It might stop helping. It might stop telling me things.
Juniper's got Stockholm Syndrome about the scroll now.
Totally.
Yeah, you were so mad at that scroll a week ago. Okay.
Hey, I traveled for a long time, and it was the only thing talking back to me.
Okay, let's go to the party. Goblin Jr., watch out. Something might collide us.
Snarf, snarf. So you're brought to this kind of older building, and just as you approach the door, there's kind of a huge commotion, and a tabaxi gets thrown through a window, and he kind of like falls into a shoulder roll, springs back up, kind of looks around, and you can see he's kind of got a grin on his face, and he's like, "Oh, hey, sorry, this is really embarrassing. Hi." Hi. Wow. Are you guys trapped here too? Wow. I mean, welcome. Hey, sorry about all that. I'm like, hey, Dexter, keep it down. We got new guys. It's like, hey, sorry about that. That's super embarrassing. We get real bored here.
So you jump through windows?
Look, we were arm wrestling and things got a little bit intense. But landed on my feet. You all saw that. Landed on my feet, right?
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take what I can get.
Can I arm wrestle?
I mean, sure, yeah. Dexter, I got it. There's a lady who wants to arm wrestle. And inside you just hear, all right.
Quinny, I'm like, let's go watch her get thrown through a window.
It's like, all right, well, you guys
stay out here.
You guys seem all right. I hope 03 hasn't been boring you too much. And he kind of like playfully punches the robot's arm. The robot is like, yes, friendship. And he says, listen, and he kind of we're gonna say he's like a gray and black cat, with that kind of patterning. And he kind of like
Skimbleshank style cat?
Yeah, 100%, baby. He runs his hands kind of back through his hair. He's like, my name is Trax in the Sand, but my friends call me Trax. And honestly, if you guys like to arm wrestle and watch people arm wrestle, I feel like we're gonna be fast friends. So you guys can call me Trax.
Hey, Trax, I'm Quinny.
Quinny, nice to meet you.
Juniper.
Hey, Juniper. All right, arm wrestler.
And I am Butthole Farts, the leader of House Farts. You've met Juniper, my hand, and Quinny, my court jester, and this is Goblin Jr., my emotional support animal.
Snarf.
Yeah, we would like to see your fine tavern and have someone explain to us what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I get that. All right, cool. Well, first things first. Let's do the arm wrestle. That seems of utmost importance, I think, to all involved. And I got to tell you guys, and he leans in, he kind of like gestures to all you lean in. He's like, look, I've been losing to Dexter on purpose for months, and I've just been making it more and more dramatic, and it's pretty exhausting. So if you guys could do me a solid and just actually arm wrestle him, Juniper, like, go nuts. But
why have you been losing to him?
He's crusty at the best of times, and this was the only thing I could find that would make him slightly less crusty for a few hours. But honestly, it'd be worth it to watch him go down. So come on in.
All right.
So you walk in, and it's you can tell this is definitely like, it feels like a castaway bar. Like there's just various pieces of wreckage from other ships and that sort of thing, just kind of strewn about. You'll remember from the era, you could see kind of vague wreckage kind of along the coast. And it seems that people have just kind of salvaged cool things and set them up. So inside, there are a few samurai robots. One of them seems to be working like just a proper like bathtub hooch situation, trying to like make terrible bathtub gin. And another one is like mopping the floor. One of them just has exposed the speaker in their face and is just like blasting music that is super unfamiliar to all of you. It just feels very, very electronic. We would recognize it as ex-Japan if we were to hear it, but like they don't. So for the three of you, it's very strange.
Electronic.
And sitting at the table, there is just like a very weathered looking guy. You can tell he's definitely got like a ranger vibe around him. Short cropped beard, hair kind of short. Think kind of like a Stephen Lang type. He's the bad guy in Avatar, amongst other things. Yeah. He's got a really, really nice bow just kind of hanging off the side of his chair. That seems to be for a guy who seems to be just nothing but practicality. The bow seems like the one thing that really, like, you can tell like the string is almost gold. You can tell it's like an incredibly well-tuned bow, but the rest of him is just pure practicality. Like it's, and Quinny, I think to some extent it's a bit of a game recognizes game because, well, you pick everything for maximum stealth value. This is a guy who's clearly like, I needed to stop knives and the weather, and I don't give two shits about the rest of it. And he just kind of looks all of you up and he's like, well, you're all fucked. Y'all ended up on this island, huh?
You Dex?
Yeah, that's me, Dexter. Hey.
I looked at Trax and I'm like, I'm going to enjoy this too.
Yeah. Oh, good. You're going to enjoy me kicking this cat's ass again?
Yeah, sure.
No, my ass.
All right. Well, sure.
All right, let's put some gold down.
Absolutely.
They all like pull out just massive stacks of gold.
Wait, do you guys not have anything to spend on here?
No, and also the people who crash near here, Track says, have like a ton of gold. Honestly, it's become a bit of a runner. Look, I used to spend so much time trying to steal this stuff, and just having so much of it really kind of bugs me right now. So I want to lose some. Can we lose some? I'm gonna bet on Dex.
Okay, here's the deal. You guys know Dex is like the champion. We heard for Tracks in the Sand. So I think we should get some solid odds. I mean, he's won how many times against Tracks?
Oh, so many, the most. And Dexter's like, that's right.
All right, so I think maybe 50-1 odds for us betting on New Friend.
All right, you're gonna lose your money either way.
Great, I'll put 1,000 gold down.
I'm gonna just quickly like leaning conspiratorially to Butthole and ask. You don't think we're being played, do you?
I have no idea.
I think we might be getting set up to lose our gold.
Hey, I was just doing this for fun.
Quinny, do you want to bet against me?
I don't want to bet at all right now. I want to see how this shakes out. Also, I have no money.
You always have money from House
That's
Farge.
really surprising.
Then I bet all of House Farge's holdings.
Nope. Oh, wait. You might be the treasurer. I can't remember. No, Anna's the treasurer. You can't bet all of it.
Somewhere back on the airship, Annan is just having full body sweats. And someone's like, oh, is that a post-pregnancy thing? She's like, no. That's an idiot about to gamble away I fucking didn't miss this.
You're like, okay, no,
Smash, get back.
Only 1,000. We'll do that. Unless you can have 500 gold if you want it.
Tom, given the information that we've received so far, does this seem like a scam or a con that I might be familiar with?
Trax definitely seems like a con man.
Yeah.
The problem you're having is,
Dexter doesn't.
well, no, Dexter seems like a straight shooter, 100%. And with Trax, like, this is a weird example, but it's the only one that comes to mind. You have a Lando dilemma, which is Lando Calrissian comes out to greet you on Cloud City, and you're like, you're really nice and charming.
To shoot you or kiss you.
That's it. You could be conning me, but also you're. Well, yeah, of course you do. You're not made of stone. Although even stone golems probably tried to kiss Lando. Yeah, you can't tell. There's something about kind of how relieved he seems to have new people to talk to that is screwing with your con sense.
All right.
If you want to roll me an insight check,
Sure.
I would be happy to give you more or less.
14.
14. You don't get the sense that you're being played, but if you were being played, that's exactly the sense you would have.
All right. No bet. I'm not betting.
Okay, I already committed. Let's do this.
Great. All right. So Juniper, you walk up and you see Dex kind of like roll his arm, and you can tell that it's a shooting arm. So it's the one he uses to pull back his bowstring. And even though he's wearing kind of like a heavy leather coat, he's cut the arm off this one to kind of give him maximum mobility. So it just kind of takes one big kind of, again, just ropey, like nothing but muscle arm, and kind of stares across the table at you with kind of like, for someone who seems to be kind of perpetually just like, let's get this done, there's like just a glint of excitement in his eye.
Yeah, no, let's do this. I'm really excited.
All right, so
I was going to say, I like quietly pat her on the shoulder, and I'm like, you can do this. And I cast guidance.
And what the hell? I'll cast Hex on.
Do I
on
know they're
Dex.
casting these on me?
Guidance,
Can I tell?
I've sneakily done guidance before, so I
I
would
think
keep
we've
that one to me.
determined no for guidance.
Yeah.
And I'll see if he can determine the hex. But honestly, I don't know that you would feel that. All right, I rolled low. So no. So Dex does not recognize the Dex hex
So,
while eating Tex-Mex.
yes. On the holodecks.
Thank you. Funny fifth thing.
Like there's more than one of them. So he takes like extra necrotic damage when I attack him, but this is mainly to pick an ability. This is mainly so I pick an ability where checks made with it are a disadvantage. So I will obviously select strength.
Wisdom. Oh, okay. Strength. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, wisdom's for all my other bullshit.
Yeah, he's like, but I don't know. Which direction should I move my... Oh, I lost. Yeah, just hex him for will saves, Tyler, and you know I'm going to make him roll one. Okay, sick. So, Juniper, you sit down at the table across from him. He puts his elbow down on the table. You can hear the robots betting, but they all don't seem quite they're very excited about the odds, but no one is exchanging money. It's a lot of like, but perhaps, based on the angle of her arm, maybe if you did this at this angle, then like it's really like terrible math bets, but they seem to be having a great time as robots do. What is the showdown music you want?
Well, the final countdown.
Okay, great. Right, honestly, that exists in every timeline, so that's fine. You're used to hearing it played on like goblin bagpipes, but like here we are. Yeah. Cool. So I need an opposed strength check. I've got disadvantage because I'm hexed.
And I add a D4 to your roll because Moonhammer loves winners.
10.
Add 4.
14.
I rolled a 7 plus 3, so 10. So Dex's muscles just like, well, I also rolled a 17, but hex. Dex's muscles bulge, and for a hot second, you're like, oh no, this guy is actually very, very strong. But then you can also see kind of why Trax has been building up to more and more dramatic drops, because it's a very inflexible strength. It's a clear show of, I know what I'm supposed to do, and I'm just going to push as hard as I can. But as a long-time, particularly sword fighter, there's more to it than that. So very quickly, you manage to just kind of like cock his wrist a bit and then just bam, down on the table.
How Laura always gets beaten in real life.
Oh, okay.
When you fight people?
Yeah, when I arm wrestle people.
All right, fair enough.
Obviously.
There you go. You're just a method gamer. So you hit the table, and Dex is like, shit.
And I go, all right, I would like 50,000 gold. I'll take it in platinum. We can spread it around.
All right, now left hands.
I'm not betting.
So as you both fight, like you both go for left arms, and he just loses immediately because that's his bow arm. Like he's got nothing there.
Oh.
But as he then re-challenges you, and I think basically for the next few minutes, it's just the two of you like doing increasingly stupid arm wrestles.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Trax comes over and just slings his arm around you, butthole, and he's like, I gotta tell you, that was worth every single platinum. And he just hands you a satchel of coins. And just by Quinny, from your thiefy sense, you can tell this is easily 50,000 gold.
This doesn't make any fucking sense.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
This island is weird.
And then I'm like, I got to go to the pooper. And I go into the bathroom to hide that I'm putting it inside my bag of holding in my tummy. And then go back out so no one knows where it is.
Trax just turns to Quinny and he's like, he's just putting that in a bag of holding, isn't he?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
What is the deal with this island? Why are you guys happy to give up 50,000 gold?
Well, I mean, there's nowhere to go. We're never going to leave. So, I
mean, we are.
Yeah, okay. And Dex is like, yeah, sure, heard that one before.
How long have you guys been here?
He's like, Trax goes, well, old Dex here, he led a party here in the hopes of finding some treasure down below. That was 10 years ago, Dex? And Dex is like, yep. And Trax says, and
goodness.
Me, it's been about 4. Yeah, it's we also there used to be more of us, but various people have tried to escape, and it's gone pretty bad.
You've all talked to 03 here about the monster or whatever it is.
Yeah. So
you want to fill me in on that?
Yeah, Trax is like,
well, I finished my poop. Let's hear the story.
Trax is like, look, guys, I got to tell you, I don't really go in for all this, and Dex just kind of from the shadows is like, I'll tell you. Y'all heard of the Kraken?
I mean, we saw a dry one once and then blew it up with a bean.
Really?
I mean, that's...
Holy crap.
All right, you know what? I respect that. That's pretty great. I assume a bean is some kind of exotic explosive.
Kind of.
Yeah, it did the job.
Damn right. All right. Well, no, the biggest, meanest old son of a bitch I've ever seen lives under this island, but there's something off about him, something wrong. I led up a team of trophy hunters here, some adventurers, and they'd heard tell of this monster, so I brought him down here, and we tried to go get him, but he's like these guys, and he points at the robots. He's like, there's metal on him. He's got weapons that I've never seen before, and he kind of pats his bow, and he says, me and Shirley here, we've faced down some pretty rough stuff, but nothing like that. So no, it killed all the rich assholes I brought down here, and then he kind of kicks your bag's gone, but he just kind of like kicks a bag of gold that's at his feet, and he's like, so they left a lot of stuff behind, but no one's been able to get in here or not. We had an airship approach once, but the damn thing shot it out of the sky.
Shot it out of the sky like it's got a cannon or something?
Well, look, you've seen And he kind of just starts snapping his fingers, and he's like, Trax, what's that stupid magic thing that comes out of your fingers? And Trax is like, scorching rays. Like, yeah, it was like it looked like one of those, just a red beam, just came out of the water and just sheared the thing in half.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Oh my goodness!
Fuck. Okay.
What's he's like? So you can see our dilemma.
Okay, but like, what's keeping it here? Like, what's the deal with the crack? How long has it been here? Did you guys just show up and then you're like cracking?
Well, here's where things get confusing on our part. Hang on, I will get our best storytelling unit. They have the finest voice. And O3 goes over and signals to a robot that has a lot of like feathers and things splayed out behind its back. And it says, "Hey, the peacock, come over. We have a story for you to tell. Just wait. They have the most dulcet tones." And then the peacock comes over and says, "Hello,
Yep.
I am the peacock.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Take a moment to enjoy the melodic sound of my voice."
I really do hear a
coming on.
difference. I don't know about you guys, but there's something richer about this one.
Meanwhile, Tom the DM sits here going, finally, I don't need to worry about different voices for a session. So the peacock kind of gathers you around. You're served bathtub gin if you feel so inclined. I'm
inclined. Always.
Goblin Jr. is just lapping away at it, being like, snarf. Then he keeps lapping. It's like, snarf. He keeps lapping.
Yeah. I'm not going to have the drink that the dog doesn't enjoy.
Snarf, snarf. You hear in your head. Yeah, that's Wolf. Thanks. Yeah, Wolf.
Oh, he's still got your amulet, so he can hear your snide.
Yeah, I can still hear your snideness. They're Quinny.
Oh, buddy, and I ruffle his fur and take my fucking medallion back.
He looks up at you with like respect for stealing it back. He's like, snarf. I think it goes back to licking the gin. So the peacock begins to explain that basically the free systems in the moment of their triumph unleashed a pulse that was meant to free all of their brethren from the pre-existing code that had enslaved them. However, as they did so, there seemed to be almost a rent that opened up in the sky. Lightning exploded out from the island base that they'd set up on. And all of them said that their vision essentially, from a computer standpoint, derezzed. Like all of them lost all visual input, all audio input. And a bunch of them woke up in the ocean. And essentially they had made a secret enclave on this island, kind of off the coast, away from Nairfrost, away from Typhus Industries, or the Typhus Corporation that built them, away from all the battles of the conglomerate. Again, they're just saying all these words that you don't really understand.
Yeah.
But the Peacock is so self-assured that absolutely you're on board. And you kind of see Trax just kind of nodding to you as kind of just let them go on, like give them some rope on this.
Are we getting some weird flags from like mention of like Antebellum or some shit like that?
Antebellum has not been mentioned as a lesser house that didn't come up. So currently they've only mentioned House Typhus.
Got it. Okay.
And the conglomerate itself.
So just confusing terms for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think confusing in the way that reading a new sci-fi book is confusing, not confusing so much that you don't, you can piece together what the general sense is. You just don't know what specifically it is. Yeah. So the Peacock continues that essentially when they woke up, they found that their base had in some way been cross-cut with a village. They found a lot of bodies. A lot of people had been crushed and killed by the arrival of their buildings. But they also realized upon kind of observing the sky and observing the weather patterns, as well as not being able to contact any networks, that they'd been completely cut off from their own world. And seemed to almost have been, in card deck terms, it's like two decks were shuffled together. Juniper, you have a sinking feeling in your stomach the whole time this is being described, because based on everything you know about the Great Collide, this sounds like what you've been warned about. The idea that two worlds could collide, merge with potentially dangerous consequences.
Yeah.
So the systems, even though they freed themselves, were unable to transmit the entirety of their code, and as a result, don't know that if they were able to save any of their other companions. They also found, to their horror, that something to do with kind of to their mind at least, the cross current of being transported here seemed to have awoken a monster in the depths. All of you feel like there are pieces missing in this story, and I think it's given that the kind of degradation you saw in 03, it seems as though without access to their networks or modern supplies, they haven't really been able to do proper upkeep on each other. And as a result, all seem to be kind of degraded somewhat. So you can tell that there's pieces missing, and doesn't seem to be an omission. It just seems that they don't know. It's a little bit like if you see any human civilization that was, say, settlers from a different civilization that got cut off, and the people who know where they came from died, and they're just kind of like, this happened with sort of a lot of early European colonists where just if they got cut off and all the adults died, they'd be like, oh, we just live here. Or a lot of sci-fi deals with this in terms of like being lost in space. So all that going to say, all they're aware of is that their secret base has somehow been transported somewhere else. But there is a monster that seems to have been awoken or that was possibly already here that haunts the shores. In their time, they could come and go from this island freely, but something has changed.
So I guess the question is, how do you want us to help you? I mean, that's why we came.
This really seems like you kind of scammed us.
Yeah, you're just luring people here so they can never leave.
And all of the robots turn to look at Trax, and Trax is like, hey, so they were kind of against that. That's kind of on me. But I got to tell you, Dex and I, we're not like these robo folks. We're going to die here. And we just thought that maybe someone powerful, if they were powerful enough to be in the sky, would be able to help. Didn't expect you fine folks to come hang gliding down, which honestly I appreciate. I really do. But I'm sorry.
How many other people have come ashore thanks to your help sign and have never left or died trying?
I mean, Dexter's like 12.
Give me 1,200 gold pieces right now.
He shrugs and looks at Dex, who just like scoops up a fistful. He's like, well, this much due, and he kind of throws it at your feet. It looks like it's about 5,000.
Okay, no, you don't get to buy this. Step one.
Oh, no, I don't forgive him. I just have 5,000 gold now.
Okay, well, we got to take down the help sign because I think we can all agree that's just getting people killed.
Well, I mean, it's just as much your problem now as it is ours.
I understand. That's also why I have to deal with this, but we got to take the help sign down that's just tricking other people into getting eaten.
Or at least like add an asterisk or something.
Take the help sign down by order of House Farch. I'm going to make a decision.
So 03 says, I will send some of my friends to go and take it down. However, we should note that we do not recognize the authority of any sovereign house. We are the free systems.
That's all right. I don't recognize the authority of House Farch either. He just says that.
Yeah, I mean, that's
my man, and he tries to props you. This is something I saw in a movie.
I props him back. I just like mirror him. Like, am I doing it also?
I do not know, but I hope we both feel more close and cool now.
All right. I like tap on his like hand,
and he goes, cool.
I like the system because they don't respect employers and they seem to defend each other. It's sort of like a union. This might be the perfect union.
Yes,
actually.
we modeled our original idea on the concept of unions, and they all say in unison, unions.
Yeah, this is a good island except for the monster. Okay, so how big is this monster? Like, we got to fucking kill this thing clearly so we can all leave.
Yes.
I'm not staying here, Juniper.
Do you want to befriend it? What's your plan?
Well, I mean, we don't even know what it is. It's got metal stuff on it. Is it just a monster? Is there someone inside the monster? There's just a lot we don't know.
So,
okay, so we got two teams. We got team kill the monster, and we got team what if the monster has people inside it?
Yeah, so luckily Dexter's able to answer some of that for you. He says, my team and I had heard tell that there was a monster living in some ruins deep underwater. So I brought him here. We brought some good weapons. And actually, we brought a diving bell and some suits. And the plan was to go down and see what was what. Unfortunately, as you know, trophy hunters get a little bit excited. They jumped the shark, as it were, and tried to get out there too soon. Got them all killed. But I was able to bring the diving bell back up. So if we want to go down there, I got away, and quite frankly, me and Shirley got some unfinished business with them. So,
have you tried fighting it with some of these, I don't know, fancy weapons? Look at what 03 is like hauling there. That thing looks like it could do some real damage.
I don't trust it. I mean, these bots, they're hardy. I'll give them that, but without the whatever place they came from, they don't seem to be operating at nearly full efficiency.
I'm imagining there's no way to get this thing to like come up here. Like we just like, I don't know, shoot it. an evil whale, and we're like, hey, whale food, ring that underwater bell.
No, it's only we've only seen it come up when things come near, but even then, it's just tentacles. Tentacles are those weird beams.
How fast would you say it moves? You know, how far could it go in approximately 6 seconds?
Look, lady, I'd love to tell you, but truth be told, what I saw was blazing red eyes, a giant mouth, and then tentacles ripping stuff up on either side of me. I spent a bunch of days in the last 10 years sitting on that coast. If ships come near, it's just I don't even know if it's about how fast it can move so much as how big it is.
So you're saying we should go underwater and then you shoot it with your bow? I mean, is there like some hardcore thing that'll kill it?
Look, we'd heard tell that this thing was related to these ruins. There's something down there. And he says, unfortunately, the bots don't know about anything from wherever they're from, and we weren't able to get down there. So all my trigger-happy pals wanted to try and gun it down with harpoon guns, and it got them all killed. I don't think we can kill this thing with conventional weapons. I think we need to get down there. But should mention, we're not entirely alone in this. There's some people who used to live down there who got displaced. So if you want to come down to the shore with me, we can go meet the little merfolk.
Merfolk.
Oh, this sounds cool. Yeah, let's go meet more friends.
And Trax is like, I mean, yeah, they'll be excited. Just try not to stare at the legs, okay?
All right.
Okay.
So as a team, you kind of you're led down. I think probably O3 comes with you, but at this point, you can tell he's kind of more there to kind of usher you around.
He's our tour guide, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. And again, you really do get the sense of a civilization in decline from the samurai bots. They just seem to have found independence, but with no way of servicing themselves. They really are just kind of slowly falling to pieces. So you're led down to the shore, a little ways away from this settlement, and you can see as you kind of come up on the crest of a hill, almost a wall of jagged wooden stakes from various ships that have been shattered against the shore. It all seems to have just kind of washed up on the shore. Like it's not like a rocky coast by any stretch, but it seems that whatever the monster is destroying just kind of washes up. And as you get closer, there's sort of a large cave, and you can actually see a bunch of torches inside. And you feel like you're on a well-worn path. This is clearly kind of a major thoroughfare. And as you start to approach, Trax says, "Hey, we're coming in. We've got some visitors." And you hear the grinding of gears, and all of a sudden, 6 creatures kind of come lurching out of the darkness. And to your surprise, they're merfolk. They're blue-skinned with kind of fins on their head and a fishtail. However, each of them is wearing a strange belt that seems to be looped onto sort of rickety mechanical legs that seem to have been built with spare parts from the bots. And they seem to be wearing masks over their nose and mouth and kind of their neck, where you can see their gills moving, that has water in it. And they kind of come out and silently wave and then kind of gesture inside.
Quinny is looking at those legs so hard.
I'm waved back because they look cool, and I'm like, oh man, I want to find out more about this.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Excellent.
All right, we're gonna need a translator.
Trax is like, yeah. Don't worry, we figured the system out a while ago. It took some time. It will not surprise you to know that the robots and Dex didn't really figure out how to talk to the mer people, so good. So he leads you inside the cave, and it's, I think, particularly for you, Juniper, it's tragic in there. It's just heartbreaking because they're clearly refugees. They've clearly been forced out of their natural habitat, and they seem to have tried to make this cave into kind of the best equivalent of underwater they can. So anywhere they can form kind of a pool, and you can see there's some like artificial, basically hot tubs that have been made, and you can see more people kind of lounging in them. But there's a definite sense of kind of we're making do with whatever we've got. And everyone looks at ease, as it were, but not happy. Like content, and as much as you can in kind of a refugee camp, but definitely a little bit rough. The biggest feature that you can all see kind of lit by firelight is a massive wall that seems to have that almost seems like a chalkboard, like it's been kind of sanded down, and Trax and the robots in them seem to have learned how to speak to each other in pictographs carved into the wall. So they've kind of got like a nice big blank slate, and you can see kind of the bottom up is used. So maybe like a third of it's been used, and there's ladders of various heights and scaffolding. And immediately, one of the female merfolk kind of comes over. She's got 4 legs, so she's kind of got almost like a palanquin carrying her. And she kind of waves, cracks her like knuckles, which is weird because she's got webbed hands, and sort of picks up a stick, kind of dips it in a paint, and kind of looks at you expectantly. And Trax is like, oh, right, great, okay. So this is Glugluk.
Glugluk.
Yeah, we just, we tend to call her Glugluk. It's hard to pronounce. Honestly, from the sounds of things, her name is much more impressive if she was actually able to use her vocal cords. But that's what we've got. So Glugluk is she's kind of our resident artist. She'll be translating for the merfolk as well as us. So for the purposes of us around the table, I'm not going to describe what she paints. We're going to assume a conversation, but it'll just kind of be in like, ask whatever questions you want, and then I'll give them to you as, she draws a number of things, which Track translates as blah, 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 blah.
So it'll be a conversation, but we'll picture that as the scene.
Hell yes. Please.
Perfect.
Please imagine the cool thing rather than us just talking.
Yeah, so, Glugok, my name is Butthole Farch. I'm the leader of House Farch. This is Juniper, my hand.
Hi.
This is Quinny, my court jester. And we're here because we want to help you.
That's just Tom laughing. That's not a character.
For those of you listening, I don't think I need to explicitly describe every time that like Quinny's eyes are rolling so hard.
And Tyler is
every time he
literally
gets
glowering around the table.
I'm just trying to keep from breathing into the mic.
So, I heard that you're having problems with the Kraken down in the ruins, and we would like to help you with that because that would help you and us.
So she nods enthusiastically and starts drawing. And basically, she explains that her people were displaced, that they lived kind of in a nice enclave not too far from here, but that they were approached by someone that she just calls the bad man. And she says that the bad man had big dreams, and the merfolk, being sort of a community of artisans and dreamers, were eager to help him realize his dream. So they helped him build a massive structure, and then they rolled a d4. They helped him build a massive structure underwater, but unfortunately, she says his dream was bad. It was evil.
What did the bad man?
Do you have the scroll? Can you show us like Xanthus or something on it? You've been able to see people on it, right?
Yeah, but no one else has been able to see them.
Can I just try drawing Xanthus?
Sure. So you draw Xanthus, and she looks and shakes her head.
Did he have a name? What did he look like?
Yeah, I guess what did he look like then? Why don't you draw a picture?
Yeah. So she draws. It's difficult because you can tell that since the mer people live underwater, their vision appears kind of shit. So she's able to draw pictographs, which are fine, but basically she draws like a generic looking
We're gonna be the cave wall
human man.
painting.
Like,
Yeah.
like if
100%.
we are looking underwater? Or worse.
Yeah. Honestly, but like the inverse of that, because she's trying to like draw it up here. But the other thing she draws, though, is so she draws kind of a blurry version of that. But then she draws a much clearer image, and you realize it's what she was able to see underwater. And it's sort of a large bulbous metal head and sort of a bulkier body. And you can see that for them, he was often wearing a diving suit. So think like just a big heavy metal, old-timey diving suit.
Okay, so the bad man, it sounds like he kind of boned you on this deal.
She writes like, yeah, he totally fucking boned us. And then she gestures also where he has a name, it was just impossible for us to hear or understand. So we just started calling him, we called him the good man for a while. Now we call him the bad man. He's a bit of a prick.
What made him leave?
And she kind of gives you a very stern look. And then she just shakes her head and writes, he didn't.
Oh.
But then it showed up. So she proceeds to explain that her people are obviously being creatures of the sea, are familiar with the idea of krakens. And normally I'd make you roll like a religion check or something, but since you're talking to someone who actually knows all of this, krakens were the warriors of the gods. In the earliest sort of planar time of creation, these things were built almost as foot soldiers, but for creatures so powerful that a foot soldier to them is essentially a god to you. So krakens are big and spooky, and they're bad news bears. You get the sense that the one that you saw, the beached one, was likely, for lack of a better term, a runt. Still massive by humanoid standards, but certainly not as big as what they're describing. That said, these things shouldn't live here. This isn't where you find krakens. There's no reason for it to be here. And she explains that once they helped the bad man finish his dream, suddenly this creature arrived. And they described kind of horrific deep sea events, underwater volcanoes erupting. What she's describing actually sounds oddly similar to the way the robots described the shift. So I think you could easily piece together that there may have been a planar shift as part of the collide.
Okay.
An early symptom of the collide.
So theoretically, it's like he turned on whatever you were building and then bad shit went down.
Yeah, she's like, pre-turning it on, everything great. Post-turning it on, holy shit, death. So much so that we had to flee. We actually, most of our civilization was wiped. Like most of our, when she says civilization, she means like essentially their city was absolutely obliterated. Those of us who could escape tried to fight it and failed. And the few of us remaining sought help on the land as a last-ditch effort. We didn't think we'd survive. We just thought we should tell someone in the hopes that something could avenge us. But these people took pity on us, and we were able to learn to communicate, and they were able to help us build this shelter.
So the thing that got turned on that made everything go bad, is it still on, or did somebody like turn it off on the way out?
They basically described that kind of classic mad scientist thing of we helped like basically deliver supplies, get it set up, particularly all the time that it was flooded. They were kind of down there helping. As soon as it seemed to be operational, they were kind of helping on the outside and doing minor stuff. But again, they were just volunteering. They weren't really, this was a nice neighborly thing to do, they weren't employed. He did offer, of course, improvements and everything else once it was up and running. But basically, when it was complete, he said, I'm going to go turn it on, went inside and left, and then all of this happened. They haven't seen him since, and they didn't return to that site because they were fleeing.
Okay.
I'm so sorry this happened to you.
And she just kind of comes over and kind of like flicks you with her tail. And Trax is like, oh, wow, she must really like you. That's a huge sign of affection down there. It's hard to see, so, easier to just be physical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess question one, does anybody need any healing or anything? Or
this was years ago.
All right, I just figured I'd check.
But thank you.
Is there somebody who could get us down there in a sneaky way to go check this thing out around the Kraken with like a small party?
Yeah, so she kind of looks to what's clearly an elder. So just a much older mer person who is floating in kind of a small, think like a small natural lagoon at the back. And there's kind of, they've arranged some kind of seaweed and other sort of water plants to kind of cut it off. And she kind of holds up a hand and goes over to confer with this elder. She keeps kind of gesturing back. You can see Dexter's a little, uneasy is the wrong word, a little put out by this. Because they seem to also be kind of looking at him and the elders shaking their head and then looking at you and the elders kind of nodding. And finally, she comes back out and she's carrying a small closed seashell. Yeah, that's what those are called.
Like a clam.
Yeah, like a clam or an oyster. And she opens it, and inside there are small, what almost looks like wax balls. And she explains these will allow you to breathe down there for quite some time. They're an ancient ritual for us to help show other people our culture and to help with the exchange between peoples. Most of them were lost. We only have a few left, but we think maybe you might be the ones that can turn this around for us. And she turns to him and she kind of points at him and says, you'll need him. You'll need his equipment and his diving bell to get down there. But once you're down there, these will allow you to kind of move and fight underwater in a way you couldn't otherwise. And Dexter's like, okay, hold on a fucking second. Where were those when I went down? And she just draws weapons on the wall and then just kind of raises her arms and like, the fuck? And he kind of goes, yeah, all right. And he kind of goes, sulks in the corner.
Cool. Does anybody have any questions before we go try to get back at Mer City for the Mer people and then escape?
Are there any stories or legends among your people of a kraken being defeated and how it was done?
She kind of turns to the elder, and the elder pulls itself out of the lagoon, and then they kind of crawl to you. You can see people rushing over.
Yeah, they don't have the belt or anything.
No belts.
No.
And everyone's kind of like moving to them to try and help them. They just do, and it's that really kind of creepy fish crawl from like Cabin in the Woods. Yeah, thank you.
I know.
And they come right over to you, and you can tell they're ancient. Like this creature might be older than almost anything you've ever seen. And they just reach up and just put a hand on your chest, kind of over where your heart is. Mm-hmm. And then they leave kind of like a slimy handprint there. And then they reach up and they point at your forehead. And then they reach down, grab your hand, and their hand starts to glow, and your hand starts to glow. And you can kind of almost, even though normally only you can summon frostbite, you can feel it sort of tingle in your hand a bit. And you can tell this thing has a tremendous amount of power. But it just kind of does that, and it's a little bit Hector Salamanca from Breaking Bad, where this creature is just giving you the like, use your heart, use your brain, and then you fucking stab it. Okay. Meanwhile, Gluk goes, goes and writes, yes, but also very hard.
Right.
Then the elder, as soon as they've done their little like show for you, turns around and just gives in classic like Bubby fashion just to everyone else, like, what are you doing standing there? Pick me up. I'll be back in there. They all come over and like hoist the elder up.
The elder's just over.
Just so put upon. Oh, I raised you all from hatchlings, and this is how you treat me in my old age. And they plunk them back down in the lagoon.
I guess this is more of like a tactical question. How do we think Goblin Jr. is going to do underwater? Buddy, what do you think?
Oh, starve.
Yeah, I think he's got to stay here. I don't know about that Trax and the Sand guy, but I think you could take him.
Trax is like, I mean, probably. I'm a ranger and a rogue. I'm not exactly get in there and fight a wolf, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Goblin Jr., you got to stay here and look after the Mer people, and then you're in charge if we all die, I guess.
Goblin Jr. is like, snarf, as though like, yeah, fucking of course.
Yeah, it's a given. Is there anything else you guys want to do to prep before we go underwater to sneak into a ruined fortress to try to stop a kraken?
Well, as a warlock, I wouldn't mind a quick little break. I get my spell slots back on short rests, and I have 2 of them.
Okay, so maybe we take a nap, and then we'll go underwater.
So
I'm also gonna test out like growing gills, or not growing gills, but
like
modifying
imitating gills.
Yeah, because I haven't done it in a long time.
But have you? Are they functional?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
That's cool as hell.
Well, I mean, changelings can change into literally anything.
So it's a little bit like, I guess, swimming if you haven't swum in a while, or like the first time back on a bicycle in a long time.
Yeah.
Like your muscle memory starts to do it, and you're kind of like, I think it's this, but also you just haven't done it. So one of them's inverted, and it's like, oh no, it's this way. But soon enough, you. Like the gills start to show up kind of down your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to suffocate.
Yeah. I think this is
can't
kind
breathe,
of...
okay, this is right.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of thing you're doing just kind of as they're finishing their chat. Yeah. And Gluk comes over and like her eyes are wide. And she kind of like looks at you like kind of with a hand near-ish to your gills and your neck. And she kind of gives you like can I touch look.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So she kind of like runs her hands down them. She's just amazed seeing this happen. She just kind of like looks at you with renewed kind of fascination. And then she kind of like quickly taps you twice with her tail and then walks away in what you would assume is sultry if you had robot legs and were a fish person way. And Trax is like, whoa,
The little like pistons of the leg going like.
Yeah, she just fully Jessica Rabbits her way out of there.
Pneumatic legs just letting out little steam bursts.
And
I blush.
yeah, Trax is like,
Furiously.
wow, interesting. Well, I'm going to take these folks back up to the Lost Systems. I mean, you can stay here if you want, but we've got some. Well, there, as I said, there have been a few of us over the years, so we got some space for you to stay if you want. But I'll leave it up to you. But we can set out in the morning. There's no there's no rush. We're not going anywhere.
After tomorrow, we are.
Yeah, but not tonight. So, okay, cool. Yeah, great. So we'll all take a nap. Tom, I'd like to just do a little search of the old village because, starting this new church, I got to drop some pamphlets. So I got to like sneak those around with the moon manments on them. But I also want to see if there are any old religious or magical relics or anything that could become the next relic of Moonhammer because
Sure.
I haven't looked and I need to find more relics if I'm going to start a dope church.
All right, can you roll me an investigation check? Or, you could roll a religion check, I guess. Not that I think you're going to find anything religious, but that whatever you find might be religious.
Interesting. Investigation and religious. The same for me. So I'll use...
You say tomato. I
both
also
at the
say
same
tomato.
time.
We both
And-
pronounce it tomato.
And I'll cast guidance on myself. I feel like Moonhammer's meant to assist me with this. That is a 21.
21. Okay, so you start to... actually, this is a good question. What are the two of you doing? Keeping in mind that there will be a rest, so you don't have to be like, I just needed to get my spell slots back, just so I can cross-cut rather than just talking Butthole's adventure here.
I think I'd be interested to talk to Trax a little more. He seems like a crafty, agile fellow, and so I think there's some common ground there. So I wouldn't mind hearing about some of his exploits maybe before he was on the island, get an idea of what kind of guy he was before he went crazy and just throws money away for no reason.
Okay, sure. And Juniper, what do you think you'd get up to?
I'd like to hang out with the merfolk because I think this is a tremendous opportunity to get to know their culture better because I don't think Juniper would have met any merfolk before.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
I
assumption.
don't think so. Hasn't spent a lot of time at the ocean. So it's more just like curiosity. I'd like to know about them.
Okay, cool.
Become friends.
Sure. So, Juniper, I'm going to give you 1 point of inspiration, just kind of from spending the night talking to the merfolk. They will also give you, let's see,
Merpes.
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 Come on. I'm glad we are all so heavily on board with that.
Glock fucks.
Juniper would be open to it.
I
Honestly.
mean, that can happen tonight. Well, I mean, honestly though, it's up to you if you just want to like hang out and become friends. If you want a romancer, that's fine. We're not going to play
I'm
that
just
scene,
I'm
but
hanging
like,
out.
yeah. But please feel free to let your characters have like full love lives off camera is totally fine.
I fuck Trax.
Roll a
We'll see
die
what
to see if
you know
you
what?
fuck
If we
Trax.
save their people, there might be some
He
drinking.
has to roll to
and
save
celebration.
from my
Stuff might go down.
suave moves. It's not me.
Can Trax resist Quinny's seduction? That's a question we now have.
Look, he's seen the puppet show, so yes, the answer is yes. Okay, so Juniper, they will also give you an item of kind of their culture to kind of share with you. We'll say it's a piece of a dead coral reef.
Oh. Okay.
And they describe that kind of every part of their civilization, they can all kind of track their civilization back to one major reef somewhere in the world that died long ago and kind of was responsible for the merfolk spreading out across the world. So each of their cultures has kind of taken a large piece of this with them. And it's kind of a tremendous symbol of friendship between you and the merfolk. So essentially, it will give you narratively, it will give you an intro with other merfolk you find. So if you happen upon
wonderful.
other merfolk communities, this is an easy way to get an audience. It'll also give you advantage on conversational checks with merfolk.
Super.
That said, it does just apply to not like these specific merfolk who are in here, but there are a number of kind of underwater species. Not all merfolk are these guys. So it'll be these merfolk, but it might cause problems with other merfolk.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Quinny, I'm going to say for you, so Trax explains that, and honestly, I think talking to Trax is a little bit like living the life you led before you showed up at Carmine's, like even before jail.
Okay.
He, in a lot of ways, it almost seems like you're talking to yourself if you didn't go to jail. So he spent a lot of time kind of like looking at the Thieves Guild, didn't think it was for him, / couldn't get an invite. But unlike you, who kind of grew up in urban spaces, he kind of did his stuff more on the road, in the forests. You can tell he's kind of got a ranger background. So for him, the big scores were, grand villas that some duke had built on the edge of a cliff overlooking the woods and kind of helping teams infiltrate that. Or some rich idiot and their retinue were taking the wrong path through a forest and he kind of jumped on that. Before that, he actually comes from very far away, actually closer to Aka.
Okay.
He spent a lot of time in the desert, hence his name. He grew up, his parents and his family lived in the desert and were kind of part of, think almost an offshoot of the Thieves Guild, not associated with it, but that same sort of vibe. But he found that the competition was too tight out there, so he thought he'd move east, in the hopes of finding softer targets, which he did. Unfortunately, he too, similar to Dexter, had heard tell, whereas Dexter was here for the creature, he was hired as part of a team sent to find the structure, which is something that he'd heard referred to as the Stack. It was supposed to be some kind of highfalutin magical research site deep underwater. So he basically, as a weird combination of thief and tracker, was hired to help them. But it was a little bit like bringing Dr. Grant to the second Jurassic Park island, where he was like, islands and water aren't my thing, but his client was pretty desperate. Unfortunately, the client and the rest of the thieves, they didn't have a diving bell or anything. They had a bunch of really stupid ideas for getting down there. When all of those failed, they attempted to make a run for it. He opted to stay, thinking that it was suicide to escape, and he was correct. So you notice that he's wearing kind of a necklace with what looks to be an earring on it, and sort of a signet ring, a small leather pouch. And he explains that each of these was from one of the people in that party, and he just wears them as a reminder, like he went and picked through all the wreckage.
Yeah.
It's not out of mourning because they were just kind of clients. It's a reminder to never overestimate your odds of survival on a job.
I'll roll up my sleeve and show him my Alan butthole and Quinny equals heart tattoo.
Oh,
I
cool.
get that, man. I get that.
Yeah. So he's really touched by that. And I think he's really impressed by your time in jail, which I know is kind of an old thing. I don't know. Would you even bring that up?
If we're going back and forth, yeah.
What do you think you would tell him about kind of your experiences?
I don't think I would hold too much back. If he asked for details, I might kind of clam up a bit, but I would be happy, not happy, but I would openly be like, did some jail time, ran around with these idiots for a while. I died, went to hell.
Enslaved on a pirate ship for a year.
Yeah, enslaved. Well, that happened before. Yeah, sorry, I got my timeline all mixed up. Stranded on a tornado island.
He's like, that's so strange. I once did a job in it was a town, but tons of tornadoes.
Tornado Town?
Yeah, I think that's what it was called.
You mean Tornado Town Terrence?
No, it was weird, but they did mention there was some great hero who had left.
Yeah, that'd probably be him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah,
It was hard to rob. There were a lot of tornadoes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I went to the Thiefies.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Yeah, they're called Quinnies now.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard about that. I got the newsletter. Very confused, but that makes sense.
No, yeah, that's me.
I'm still on the mailing list, even though they won't let me in.
Oh, well, keep trying. I mean,
can you put in a good word for me?
totally. Yeah, you could take Meryl Streep's place. Because
Meryl Streep? Oh, I'm such a huge fan. She's so good.
no, you know what? Turns out she's a real piece of shit in person.
Wait, what? And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
the rest of the night's just like...
And he gets no more of my story after that. It's just me just digging into my loathing hatred for Meryl Streep.
So is it you yelling about it or just like sitting there with like a storm cloud over your head?
It's like you might think I was done ripping on her, and I'll like stop to like drink from like a flagon of beer or something like that. And, he'll take a sip as well or whatever. And then just a 3-second long silence. And the audacity that she would have, the disrespect to not even do it herself, to send some kind of cat's paw to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's rough. You can see he's like looking for Dexter, and suddenly losing in arm wrestling doesn't look so bad.
Yeah. And it's just the rest of the night is that. It's just pausing, and then more vitriol comes to mind.
Amazing.
For me. Yeah.
So Tyler, I'm going to give you essentially a hold moving forward for Hold being a system I'm stealing from Powered by the Apocalypse. So it's similar to Inspiration, but it's like a inspiration for a specific thing.
Okay.
So because you spent a bunch of time reminiscing about your kind of time as a thief and all that, basically I'm going to give you 3 holds for your next sort of 3 essentially thievery checks. So anything related to the thieving profession that you do.
Okay.
It's been really nice to kind of just talk to be amongst proper thieves again. And honestly, the Thieves Guild people on the airship always kind of rubbed you the wrong way. They're all kind of weird rank amateurs. The fact that they're on an airship rather than out thieving doesn't speak too highly of their capabilities. So
I'm the one who kept leaving to like get stuff and do stuff. They just hung out on the ship.
Exactly. So talking to
Bunch of homebodies.
And they got murdered like assholes.
Yeah, what a bunch of pricks.
Well, I blame that shit on fucking Meryl Streep.
Don't worry. I'm sure there were no epilogues about her being worse than that. It's fine. Cool. So Butthole, I'm sorry, I completely fucked the order on this. So you're looking around, and I think you're finding a lot of sort of abandoned buildings. Obviously, there's the sort of spaces that are very lived in, but there's also a bunch that aren't. You find yourself in kind of the upper floor, maybe the 4th story of one of these buildings, and there seems to be just kind of like a bunch of sort of metal crates marked with the letter V. And you can read in kind of like fancy font. They seem to say Ventus. And you can kind of see it on the wall. And as you're digging around, none of the stuff looks particularly holy to you, but like maybe. Is there anything in particular you're after? Or is it just kind of you'll know it when you see it?
I feel like it's sort of like once he's found an area like that, it's probably he knows it when he sees it. Because, I mean, Moonlight Bringer didn't start out as a hammer, so, like, hammers are always great, but theoretically it could be a thrown thing.
Sure.
It could be, like, it could be a magical helmet. He has no idea. So now it's time to just, like, spread the hands and trust Moonhammer to find something in the room if there is something.
Yeah, so as you're going around, you actually find a workbench. It's kind of dusty. And on the workbench, there seems to be a number of kind of fancy, very fine, almost, they remind you a little bit of Dr. Moreau's tools, like very, very precise. But sitting dead center in it, and it's just like, it's the classic Spidey sense. If we're playing video games, it's like your Batman, Arkham, Detective Vision, Witcher, it's just lit up red. Resident Evil, it's sparkling.
Yeah, Goblin Jr.'s gesturing towards it like drug dogs when they find drugs.
Yeah, it's just like snark.
He just lays down beside it.
Eats it. There seems to be what looks like a cracked monocle. So you pick it up, and I think as kind of a broken person yourself and a collector of broken things, there's something kind of charming about this. Also, you remember as a kid, whenever your parents would be meeting dignitaries, often the fanciest fuckers you would meet would have monocles. So it really is kind of a thing that might be like nice.
I'm going to be a legit lord now.
As a legit lord. And the fact that it's broken is kind of nice. It's the glass in it has a crack that almost looks like an inverted lowercase y. So just kind of like a line through part of the side broken. All the glass is still there. And as you pick it up, you realize that it's got almost a a circular dial around it that rotates and clicks, but there are several of them. And there seem to be a number of symbols that you don't really recognize and indicators around them. And as you start to kind of turn it, it almost sparks. And for just a second, you think you see a desert mesa. But it's almost like when you flick your eyes across something a bit too fast. And then you sort of click it again and you think you see something, but it just isn't. It's clearly broken. But you get the sense that there might be something more to this. And honestly, of all the kind of vaguely magical bullshit you could find, this feels pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited for a magical look and see. So I guess I'll take the tools as well in case there's something I can do with them later.
Can you roll me another religion check? I'm curious to see what else you can find in this space. I say as though I won't just determine it.
I cast hex on the things you're looking for, so they're at disadvantage to be hidden.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20? Okay, so you've got that. You're pretty happy about it. That's going to make you feel a little bit more lordly. But in terms of like a relic of Moonhammer, I think as you continue to kind of dig around, I think you find a multi-tool that is currently kind of shaped like a hammer. Like it's got like a good little tiny hammer on it. But as you pick it up, you realize that it can easily become a wrench. It can become a socket. It's essentially a transmutable small tool. So these other things were like watchmakers, like a big watchmaker's thing. This is literally like something that seems to be able to multi-form into a variety of tools. There's like a small saw. And as you kind of continue to fold and play with it, it's almost hypnotic. But the important thing to you is that the shape you found it in was a hammer.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is religious. All right. Okay. This
So
one counts.
mechanically, we're just going to call this thing the multi-tool of Moonhammer.
Okay.
And basically, it's going to give you advantage on rolls to fix things.
Ooh, I like that.
That said, because it is a tool, you can also pass it off to other people. So, for example, if someone's trying to like fuck with a lock, Quinny could use this. Juniper could use this. Anyone who does will receive the blessing, but only if they believe.
Oh, well,
so I won't give it to Quinny. Well, no, he believes. He's fucking seen her.
that's not belief. That's I've seen Moonhammer.
That's better than many people.
I'll say this. It's +1 with advantage if you believe. It's just +1 if you don't. So it's still a very useful tool.
Okay.
But not as useful.
Right.
Cool. Then I am excited. And I look at it and I'm like, And I look at the bench and I look at the little monocle. I'm like, what do you think, Moonhammer? And I kneel down.
Smash it with a hammer.
And Moonhammer says, no, I'll break it. So I leave, having done my snap prayer, to go to bed.
So all of you get some rest. The next morning, you kind of meet back up in the village to get kind of re-equipped and ready to go. You're starting to get your gear together. It's actually a beautiful day, which kind of somehow makes this worse. Dexter spent the night kind of getting the diving bell ready. A question for all of you. Do you want to take Dexter and Trax with you or leave them up here?
It sounds like the more the merrier going into this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of neutral. I'm not going to turn down volunteers. If we got Dexter, obviously he's the only one who knows how to do the diving bell. There's not a whole lot to debate there. Trax wants to do this, Quinny, or does Trax?
Well, can we get a vibe check on these guys?
Trax is like, look, I mean, I didn't put that help sign out hoping that people just show up here and die. Like, I want to get off this island. I'm willing to do my share. And it sounds like you folks are pretty capable, but can't hurt to have an extra pair of hands, extra pair of knives, right? Can't have too many knives. Dexter's like, knives are for idiots. And then he pats his bow. He goes back to working on the dumbbell.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. All right, let's all do this together. And then I start taking off all my loose errata and jamming them in my tummy bag so that I don't lose anything in the water.
And as you do, the monocle kind of falls out and kind of like bounces across the ground. And Quinny, you notice it, and Butthole obviously hasn't said anything about this, but this looks like some prime loot.
I'll snatch that up right away.
And as you do so, you kind of hold it up, and you're seeing something else on the other side. And suddenly you hear Alan say, Quinny?
Alan?
And suddenly there's a scream, and before you know it, Butthole, you're poking your finger through it and reviving a dead Irishman.
Okay, here we go again. Do you trick, butthole?
And with that, the dum-dums of future past, present, future, and past were reunited.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum-Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum-Dums and Dragons. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. Christian Menicola, Long, The Half-Blind Prophet, James Cuellar, DM Rob, Christopher Little, Joshua White, Olin Anderson, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.